Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode we had free agency and we started up the year 2 season simulation, and so far so good. We did make ourselves a trade to help with our offense, and I think it really has helped out our top line, especially as you can see currently on the left hand or right hand side of the screen. Jeez, I can't tell my directions apparently. We are 9th in goals for, 7th in goals against, 1st on the power play, and 23rd on the PK. So our offensive play has picked up quite a bit compared to last season, and our defensive play is still pretty much good. Obviously, our PK could still use some work, but it's off to a good start through our first 21 games of the season. So hopefully that continues on in this episode, but it's been mainly, I'd say, one line that's been doing really well. There's been some other players on other lines that have done well, but some underlining problems that we probably need to address eventually. As you can see, our top line, all over point per game. Oliver Bjorkstrand was that new addition to play with Barzal and Horvat. That top line's looking very good so far. Then we have some guys like Nelson and Cizikas who've been good. I'm really surprised that Casey Cizikas has been as good as he has been. He's one of the best goal scorers on our team right now, so hopefully he continues like that, because that definitely could help us out a lot in terms of our depth scoring. But one player I haven't been super impressed with, even though he has 10 points in 21 games, is Anthony Duclair. Only has 3 goals so far, so he's only on pace for like a 12-goal season, which is definitely not what we're trying to pay him money to. And obviously, since he's a sniper, it's just like, why isn't he scoring goals? I have no idea. He's just off to a really bad start this year. So I'm hoping that he finds himself in this episode, or else we might have to change where he's playing in the lineup. I actually could already change that where he's playing. Maybe we play him on the third line instead of Vetrano or somebody like that. But yeah, I just haven't been super impressed with Duclair so far at this point in time. I guess Vetrano also kind of has been a bit of a disappointment because he's only got the 2 goals. So both these guys were brought in to try and score more goals for our team, and they're both snipers, but they aren't scoring like they probably should. But yeah, I've been impressed with Anton Frundell, who's in his first season. He's got 8 points and a +4, so he's been good in the plus-minus department and also picking up points, which is good. So our depth scoring isn't really the best, but we do have a very good top line at the moment. And then from a defensive standpoint, Noah Dobson has been fantastic with 18 points. And then we have a good defensive pairing in two with Pelican Pollock, who has not allowed a lot of goals against, which is nice. Sam Bolduc's been solid. And I would say I'm kind of displeased a bit with Romanov. I know he's not fully an offensive guy, but I was expecting a bit more offense from him, considering he's only 25 years old. But he is a two-way defenseman. He kind of simulates more like a defensive defenseman. I could get him to try and change to a DFD, but I don't know if that's useful for our team or not going forward. And then Scott Mayfield... Scott Mayfield hasn't really done much for a team of Heat, as you'd expect. Our goaltending has been good so far this season as well, though, so we have been playing pretty good in front of our goaltenders. A .918 save percentage for Sorokin and a .910 from Varlamov. So hopefully our top line continues to produce, and also Noah Dobson, of course, and then hopefully we get more scoring from the guys who aren't scoring so much, like Duclair and Vetrano, because if they get going a bit, that will definitely help us a lot in terms of our offense. Obviously, right now, having the best power play in the league, I'm very impressed with that. Having a top 10 offense, I'm impressed with that, but obviously, it could start to fall off a cliff if our depth scoring isn't doing that well. So hopefully that finds itself, and we continue to play good defensively in front of our goalies. But anyways, let's get in your guys' comments now from last episode, and then we'll see what you guys have to say. And then we'll get into probably simulating a little more chunk of the season. Like, I think we might try and simulate up to the trade deadline around. Trade deadline then would be next episode. So we're trying to fly through the second season a little bit quicker, but I'm hoping that obviously our team continues to win games, because if we make the playoffs this year, then it would be a good season to kind of go through a little bit faster than normal, just because obviously we don't have to make as much changes to the lineup, but hopefully our team continues off to a good start. So the first comment is from Big T, who says, shut down Duclair and I'll put them on the last line. So he wants me to basically demote Anthony Duclair to the fourth line, which is, I don't really think a fourth line role for him is good. Obviously, he's listed as a second line forward, so I think he would obviously complain about his ice time if that was to happen. I can see us moving him to the third line, though, and he's still being okay with his ice time, because he currently is, he's on the second power play. Maybe that's why his offense hasn't been as good this year. Like, in general, he's been a bit of a disappointment. Like, last year, 21 goals is okay, but only 48 points. But yeah, it seems like that second line power play maybe isn't working that well, so maybe that's what we'll change around a bit. And maybe that could help Duclair score more points. I don't really know exactly, but he definitely has to find a way to get scoring because or else our depth scoring is not going to look super good. And then Frankie V has also been playing on that same line. So that second line of minus Brock Nelson hasn't been picking up a lot of points, which is not great. So we might have to look at maybe changing some of those guys, moving them to third line roles. Like Vetrano could actually take a third line role, and then Anders Lee could come up into the top six potentially. That could be something we do. Yeah, I think that might actually be something I lean towards doing. Moving Duclair to the right side, moving Vetrano down to the third line left side, and then Anders Lee could come up. Yeah, that might be something we look at doing. The next comment is from Ben Papke, I think it's pronounced. I don't know. I'll just say Ben anyways. He says, you should move Frundell up. So he's saying we should get Anton Frundell more ice time. The only thing with that, he's only listed as a depth forward. He is getting a lot of power play time and penalty kill time. So he will be basically getting utilized in a lot of different situations. I just don't see a way to get him into this top 9 at the moment. But obviously, like in the off season of this upcoming season, basically, if Duclair gets moved out in the offseason because he's not performing, then we could get Anton Frundell obviously into like a second/third line role. But for right now, I think we maybe just wait until like guys like Anders Lee start to leave this team, and that way Frundell could start to grow a little bit more. Like right now, he's still like a depth forward, but if he was listed as a third line checking forward, obviously I'd want to get him into that type of role. So for right now, I think it's okay, but obviously in the future, we will definitely be moving him up in the lineup. The next comment is from Ryan the Shark, who says, I would suggest seeing if Wallstrom could play on the third line. I see Smith more as a depth forward, so maybe try Wallstrom at fourth line right wing instead. So he's saying about taking out Craig Smith and putting in Oliver Wallstrom. That might be a play. I mean, I've been impressed with Craig Smith's defensive plays so far, but I do see him more as a depth forward, just like you're saying. He was saying maybe playing him on the third line. The thing is with the third line, actually, I didn't even realize Simon Holmstrom's actually listed as a fourth liner as an 82. We could try and get him in as a third line role type of player to give us more depth scoring, and Holmstrom could go down to the fourth line. Let's try that and see how that works out. So we'll take out Craig Smith. How does Wallstrom fit this third line? Doesn't make it a plus, but it doesn't matter too much. Like if he plays fourth line minutes, he would be. But also, obviously, Wallstrom's more of an offensive player, so having him as a third liner is probably better than having him on a fourth line role, because a fourth line role usually it's like kind of a checking role, and obviously Wallstrom's not that type of player. I don't think really does have some okay physical attributes, but he's not really a hitter. So I think playing him on the third line would probably make a little bit more sense for the time being. But it would be nice to put him next to Anton Frundell at some stage. The next comment is from Nick Bacabaron's OC, who says, putting the rookie on the penalty kill and the power play is a smart move, in my opinion. And yeah, I had to kind of give him a way of more ice time so that way he could kind of like get himself situated where he could actually learn how to play on the power play and in the penalty kill. And then maybe we can make him a specialist where he's usually on every single kind of unit. He's on a power play, on a penalty kill, and he's getting like top 6 ice time in the future. Because if he could be a kind of useful player like that down the road, I think that would be very helpful for our team's future. And the last and final comment is from San Otaku, who says, Nick Perbick signing with the Caps, yuck, at least they're terrible. 2-16-2 when they fired their coach. Yeah, I did see that. Tampa replaced him with Brian Dumoulin, an upgrade in the handsomeness department, but not much else. I'm curious to see the value of Igor's contract with the Hawks. Nice bit of general managing this offseason. You got a good coach and still have a bit of cap available. If you end up in a position to add at the trade deadline, it's still early, but Frundell looks like he's going to be earning the right to be higher in the lineup. Duclair is on the fast track to demotion. Perhaps something to look at into next episode if he's not turning it around. And yeah, for now, Duclair will stay on the second line because obviously we are going to be making that adjustment where Anders Lee is going to be going up and then Duclair is going to go to the right side. And then Vetrano go down to the third line. That might actually improve the chemistry potentially for that third line. But I think that's a way of kind of seeing if Duclair will actually perform with a better player like Anders Lee on that line, or if he's still going to struggle to score goals. Like maybe it's just because he's not getting that first line power play that Bjorkstrand took away from him, but I'm not honestly too sure. Yeah, we are going to take a look at that Shesterkin deal here shortly with Chicago. But first, let's make this adjustment in terms of the lineup, which should be fine like that. So it doesn't change the chemistry too much, but that's what we're going to change and see if Duclair's better on his right side than his left side. because that's obviously his off wing, so he should be able to get some more shots off that way. If he's still not scoring goals, like we're going to check in the next 20 games, so at game 41, if he has like 10, 15 goals, we know that he's definitely improved, obviously. If he's on like less than 10 goals still in the next 20 games, then we might have to look at trying to get him to maybe go down to a third line role. I honestly don't really know because I don't want to trade him necessarily this season because we're contending right now. But he is a pending into a modified no trade clause. So it'll be easier to move him away in the offseason than this season. So that's why I'm leaning towards holding on to him this season. But obviously, he's got to find himself because he's just off to a very, very slow start. So anyways, those were the comments we got into last episode. So let's take a look at Igor Shesterkin and see how much he got paid by the Chicago Blackhawks, because Chicago made some good additions this offseason to help with a young Connor Bedard. So will be interesting to see what Shesterkin is getting paid in Chicago for 7 years. So they still actually have Peter Mrazek too, which is interesting. But how much is he getting paid? 7 years, $13.045 million, and it's a no movement clause for every single year of that contract. I mean, I don't mind that. I mean, Igor is going to get paid a lot of money regardless in real life this season. The Rangers should be prepared to pay him a lot of money because he's the best goalie almost in the league potentially. So, but for him to go to Chicago on that type of deal, I think that's kind of worth it. Obviously, because if you're trying to win as soon as possible with Connor Bedard, it's not a bad option because obviously Bedard, yeah, he's still not even eligible for a clause for quite a while at this stage, but now you have at least a better core around him. So I think Chicago's GM is doing actually a pretty decent job. Like they brought in Adam Henrique last year, that type of thing. All right, so there is that. I think we're ready to continue simulating a little bit. We'll see if those adjustments to that line start to help out a line, like moving Vetrano down to the third line. Is that going to give Duclair a better chance, or is Anders Lee going to take away the goals from him? I honestly have no idea, but I want to just see if this team continues to simulate this good offensively, because I think we could definitely be a better team this year and we can make the playoffs because the current head coach has definitely been a better head coach than the one we had last. So, okay, so December the 1st. Might as well go to the end of the month and see how we're at that stage. I do want to take a look at Duclair's stats in the next 20 games. So we got 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 before the end of this month. So it'll be another 6 games into the new year. That will take a look at Duclair's stats as we start off this episode with 2 nice wins. Good defensive games and offensive. I like it. Yeah, this team's definitely doing a lot better with this coach, I think. Now we're on a 3-game losing streak, of course, after I said that. Why do I have to even talk? A little bit of a rough stretch here for the team, it looks like, but we are still winning some games, which is good. And it looks like a lot of good offensive games, too. So hopefully that's helping out with Anthony Duclair a little bit, because like I said, if we get him and Vetrano scoring goals, that will definitely help us out a lot more. Because we need that depth scoring. We can't just rely on our top line the entire time, I don't think. Okay, so 20-11-4, we are second place currently still in the Metropolitan Division, only 1 point back at the Devils. We do have one more game played than them, but we're off to a pretty damn good start this year, which is really good to see. Let's go another 6 games, so that way we can go exactly 20 more games, and then we'll take a look at Duclair's stats. We aren't going to take a look at anybody else, but I do want to take a look at how Duclair is doing, because I know for a fact that him and Vetrano, both those guys need to do a little bit better. So maybe we'll actually take a look at Vetrano as well and see if it improved their stat lines a little bit. Let's decline on Ian. Ian Mitchell's not bad, but I don't think I need him. 77 on 26. Yeah, I don't think I need him, to be honest. Not a bad depth defenseman, but not really much that this team needs. Wow, we lost to the Devils 2 times this week. That's not great. Well, I mean, they are first place in the division, so it kind of makes sense, but we are 24th, 13-4, and that's at exactly halfway point to the season. I really like the way we're playing at the moment. The wildcard teams are on 47 points. We're on 52. So it is still a tight race, but we just got to maintain ourselves and then we'll be fine. All right. Sorokin's still on a 914, just in case you guys wanted to know. And in terms of individual team stats, we're still 9th in goals for, so that's still good. Goals against went to 6th. I think before we were like 8th, was it? Or 7th? I honestly don't remember. Our power play has dropped off a little bit from 1st place to 5th place, but still good. Our PK has improved a bit, up to 21st in the league, so That's looking good. Bo Horvat's already on 51 points as well, so that's really good to see. All right, let's go to our lines here. And let's take a look at the updated stats for Anthony Duclair and also Frank Vatrano. See if these guys are improving. Okay, there we go. There we go. Duclair has improved. He scored 10 goals in those next 21 games. So he's starting to finally find himself a bit. That's what I want to see more from Anthony Duclair. Now he's on pace for 26 goals, which is more goals than last year. So he's improving. But obviously it was a really rough start to the year for him. If we go to split stats, yeah, we can see over the last 10 games, he's scored 6 goals and an assist and 7 points. So he's definitely doing better with Anders Lee as his line mate. If we look at his stat line throughout the start of the season, October, he didn't score a single goal. He scored 3 in November, scored 6 goals and 6 assists for 12 points in 14 games in December. And so far through January, in 6 games, he's got 4 goals. So yeah, he's definitely trending in the right direction. That's exactly what I want to see from him. Now, the question is, Frank Vatrano improving? Not really in the goal scoring department. I don't know how he's been recently. But he's got 22 points. What about his split stats here? Last 10 games, he's got 7 points. I mean, he's more of a passer, I guess, than a sniper, but that's okay. In terms of his stats, December, he had 9 points in 14 games. 3 of them were goals. January so far, 2 goals and an assist. Yeah, he's not the best goal scorer, but he's setting up people. So I am okay with his production, but yeah, I don't mind the way the team's simulating so far. How has Wahlstrom been actually since being put in the lineup for that matter? 4 points only in 20 games, but he's a +8. So the plus minus is very good for Oliver Wahlstrom so far, but he's not really bringing much depth offense. Like, I'd say, honestly, Craig Smith was better in that spot. But I do really like the plus minus from Wahlstrom. So I don't mind Wahlstrom's play, but he's definitely not being that goal scorer that he was anticipated to be. I don't know how long-term he's going to be with the Islanders, but it would be interesting to hold on to him for a little bit longer. Has Simon Holmstrom been okay with his ice time, out of curiosity? Yeah, he is still. Okay, that's good. That is good. Frendell has jumped up to an 81. Oh, boy, that's not great. Let's see. 14 points. Still this is a depth forward, so I could still keep him in that spot, but we are going to have to make some adjustments in the offseason and try and get Frendell to probably more play in a third-line role. Actually, wait, I could do something interesting. I know Holmstrom's technically not a left winger. We could move Wahlstrom down to the fourth line with Cizikas and Holmstrom, and then Frendell could play with Vatrano and Pajot on that third line. I think I'm going to lean towards doing that because Holmstrom, even though he's not a left winger, he is a left-handed shot, so that might work out in our favor a little bit here. I wonder if I could try and get Holmstrom to also play left wing. Because if he is a left-handed shot, you think he'd be okay on that side. That might not be a bad option. Right now, we'll just put it like that, so that way Frendell could get a little bit more ice time, because I know you guys want me to give Frendell more ice time, and I think obviously he deserves it. He's been good so far with those 14 points. He is -2, but he hasn't been bad defensively, which is good, so let's keep the rest of that the same. And I think we'll continue to assimilate, which is good. Like I said, I think we're going to go to like a day before the trade deadline or so, because this team is winning games. So at the moment, we might as well just continue to assimilate. Like, I think this team should be a playoff team this year, unless we honestly fall off a cliff. So let's go to the end of January, so to February 1st, and see what we do here in these next few weeks. 2-1 loss. Okay, that's still a good defensive game at least to take away from that. Game against Boston. 4-3 overtime loss. That's still a point. We do beat the Jets 2-1. Columbus, we beat them. San Jose, we beat them. Minnesota, we lose them 2-1. We've had some good defensive games in our losses, and of course, after I said that, we lost 6-2. So I should really just not talk about stuff like that, apparently. Shootout win over Columbus there, and game against Boston. As Ryan Pulock has injured his knee. That's not great. Out till February 6th. That's a pretty big loss on the defensive side of things. Let me just go replace player for the time being. It's not long-term, and he's not going to miss any games, I don't think, though, which is good. So we're 28, 17, and 5 at February the 1st, which is pretty damn good. We're only 1 point still back of the Hurricanes now with the exact same amount of games played. I'm thinking our chances of making the playoffs this year are pretty high. Wildcard's on 63, though. Damn, the wild card in the Atlantic Division has more points than a division leader in the Metro. So the Atlantic division is freaking crazy. If we were in the Atlantic right now, we'd have a really tough time, I think. But at the moment, the last playoff spot then in the Metro is 59 points. 59 points, which is only a few points back of us. So the only team that's outside of the playoffs trying to get back into it is the Blue Jackets. A lot of other teams are like 10 plus points back. So we might be in a good spot. We just got to obviously keep winning games, though, because we never know what could happen with those bottom 5 to 7 teams, because they are at 49, 48, and 48, which is not too far back of us, but obviously it's a little bit of trekking for them to do. I think we'll continue to simulate. Like I said, I think we're going to go to the 5th. Yeah, I think we're going to go to like the 5th round. We could get a good chunk of the season done. In the next episode, we might make some adjustments depending on what this team's doing. And then we could simulate the rest of the season and hopefully clinch ourselves a playoff spot. So let's go to the 22nd. Pollock should be back before these next few games likely, right? Yep. Okay, good. So he didn't even miss a single game due to that nice little break that we had. So let's go back to here. And we'll take out Braden Pahal. I think it's pronounced, or Pachel. I think it's Pahal, but I honestly don't even know. So Pollock will come back in. I just forgot about almost that we were running this -2 pairing. How has it been defensively? It's actually been pretty good. +13, +6. Okay, so even though it's a -2, I don't even know if I need to make an adjustment there as the season goes on. Because I was thinking that pairing might be a little bit of a liability, but it hasn't been too bad. There's a shutout. There's a win over Colorado. We're not going to make any trades just yet, so I'm not even going to look really at those offers. Let's see. Anaheim, we lost in a shootout, but that's okay. We lose in a shootout to New Jersey, but we're still getting points in those games too, so that is looking good. Game against Philadelphia is a loss 4-1. Game against Utah, another shootout loss. Damn, we're having a lot of extra frame losses in this month. And then we lost 7-3 to Dallas. So a little bit of a skid for this team. But we are still first place now in the Metro. We have the exact same record as the Hurricanes. And the Devils are a little bit behind us as well. Blue Jackets still trying to get back into that playoff picture at the moment. Wildcard's on 69. The Sabres are still trying to get into the playoffs as well from that Atlantic division. Crazy. Let's continue to simulate. We got 3 more games this month. And then we'll also simulate another 2 games to end off this episode. There's a win over the Blackhawks. Pelech was never injured. Game against Calgary. 6-2 win. Nice. How about Anaheim in Anaheim? Let's see. Can we get a win there? What was it? A 7-4 win. Nice. Okay. So 33, 19, and 8 with 2 more games to go before we take a look at our stats and all that. But we are still first place, right? Yeah. I think we honestly might not even need to make much adjustments, but we could make adjustments depending on if there's any underlying problems. There's a win over the Oilers, and game against the Golden Knights is a 2-1 loss, but we're 34, 20, and 8 with 20 games to go. We are still first place in the division, and the only team that's outside of the playoffs that's trying to get back in is 13 points back of us. So we should be hypothetically in a good spot. Wildcard's on 75 in the Atlantic Division, so we're only at 1 point above that, which is kind of insane, but it's looking good. It's looking good this season. All right, so now we can take a look at some stats here. I don't want to go that way. I wanted to go to this. So first and foremost, our team stats so far at this point in the season, we're 10th in goals for, so our offense still top 10 in the league, which is great. We are still a top 7 defensive team. We're 6th in the NHL, 2.81 goals against per game. Our power play has jumped back up to number 2. It was at number 1, then it fell back, but now it's back to number 2, 25.1%. So very good on the PP. Our penalty kill is also still improving, 81.8. It's 18th, so it's not the best penalty kill in the world, but it still has been pretty good. And Bo Horvat apparently leads our team in points with 74 at the moment. All right. Let's take a look at some player stats and team stats, I guess. Actually, we already took a look at our team stats, so we don't even need to do that. It's kind of weird being able to just do it outside of that screen now. So, actually, where are we in the entire league, out of curiosity, and in the Eastern Conference? Because I don't know about that yet. So, in the Eastern Conference, we're currently the 5th best team in it. Not far off of like teams like Boston and all that. But we are tied with Buffalo, who's now in a wild card spot. That's actually insane. In the Eastern Conference, literally there's 4 teams from the Atlantic Division. Then it's us. Then it's Toronto. We're the best team in the Metro, and we're in 5th place here. That's insane. Okay. If we look at what I was going to say, the entire league, where are we sitting in the entire league? We're top 10. We're 8th in the entire NHL. I like that. I like that spot. Nice. All right. Let's take a look at some player stats so far through 62 games, because we have exactly 20 games to go. A good thing, though, is our team has stayed healthy a lot of this season, so that's helped out a lot. So Bo Horvat, 74 points in 62 games, 36 goals for Bo. Big step up year from him. Plus 24 as well. How much points did he have last year? 69, so he's already doing better this year than last year. More goals, more points, way better plus minus. Bo's having a huge year. Also, a lot of short-handed goals, too, for Bo. 3 short-handed goals, 4 short-handed points, 58% on the draw. Bo is doing everything he can with this team right now, so I do appreciate it from Bo Horvat. Barzal's on 71 points. Yeah, that top line is doing really good since bringing in Bjorkstrand. I like that a lot from Barzal as well. I think that's definitely better than last year. Yeah, last year we had a lot of guys that were under point per game now, but now we have a lot of guys that are point per game. Brock Nelson on 50 points. That's fantastic. I'm glad we brought him back. 24 goals at his age. He's definitely going to start to drop off soon. But, yeah, he's listed as a third-line scoring forward now. I think he was a second-liner last year. But he's definitely still playing pretty good. Sezika's on 26 points. Definitely slowed down after a good start. But he still has 12 goals, which definitely helps the depth scoring quite a bit. And Pajot's on 25 points. So I'm really liking the scoring from our centerman. Left wing side of things, Duclair on 35 points, 15 goals. So he did slow down a little bit after that 20-game look at. He just knew that he was going to be under pressure a little bit. But 35 points, I'd say, is not fantastic by any stretch. But he should be able to outscore last year's goals. Not sure about his points. But, yeah, he's still been a bit of a mixed bag. We might still have to look at trading him away in the offseason because I'd say Anton Ferndell is going to replace him in a few years easily. And then Anders Lee, 31 points. He's a pending free agent, so maybe there's a chance both these guys are gone and then Ferndell takes over, depending on what we do this offseason. But 31 points for Lee and 24 from Ferndell so far. He is -5, but he is also on the bottom 6 line. He has 3 short-handed points, so he's been helping out short-handed and on the power play. So liking his stuff from Anton Ferndell. Still listed as a depth forward, but he should probably be a third-line scoring forward at some point soon. Right wing side of things, Bjorkstrand on 60 points. See, that's why we brought him in. I know some of you guys were thinking, hey, maybe it's not the most realistic thing to bring in, but I brought him in, and he has been probably one of the best players that we've brought in so far in the series for sure. Like, he's definitely better than Frank Vetrano, who actually has improved a little bit since we looked. 35 points and 13 goals, so starting to get that depth scoring, which is good. Holmstrom on 22 points, -4. Wahlstrom has 10 points now in 41 games, so he was off to a slow start to his first bit of the season, but he has been better. He is still +8 as well, so that fourth line doing good. Craig Smith, I hope he's not losing morale. Oh, he is losing morale. See, that's where I would put Craig Smith back in because Wahlstrom is listed as a depth forward, so he shouldn't complain too much. But Craig Smith is going to be starting to complain because he's still listed as a fourth liner. So maybe we want to put Craig Smith back into next episode. Let me know what you guys think. From a defensive standpoint, Dobson's on 46 points. We're still going to have to pay him a lot of money this offseason, so we got to make some tough decisions and free up some cap space for sure. But obviously, we're not focused on the offseason ahead. We're focused on the playoffs because that's likely where we're going to go. Pelech, 25 points, +25. He's been good. He's helped out with the offense for sure this year, and he's been really good defensively. Pollock on 21 points, +14. Didn't miss a single game due to injury, even though he was out for like a week. Romanov, 12 points. He's starting to get better offensively. Bolduc's been pretty good, too. 11 points and a +11. And Mayfield, 8 points and a +10. So, yeah, that top 6 pairing has been good despite the minus in chemistry. And then goalies, Sorokin's on a 9-13. Varlamov's on a 9-14. Both of them have been locked in. And they both have almost identical goals against averages as well. So that's really great. They both have 2 assists too. So shout out to our goalies. They're very good. Very, very good. So we could go to either one of them in the playoffs potentially if we get there. Curious on who is leading the league in points and stuff at the moment. Austin Matthews with 93 so far. McDavid, McKinnon. Not a surprise really. Best defenseman so far. Cale Makar with 76. Quinn Hughes with 75. And then goaltending, the best so far is Georgiev, even though Georgiev in real life has been pretty bad in Colorado, not going to lie. Best rookie so far in terms of points is Mackie Samoskevich. And then you also have Matthew Savoie Ferndale is currently 4th in rookie points. Not bad. Not too bad. So there is all of that. Now we're going to take a quick look at the trading block, though, just because obviously we might make some adjustments in the next episode, depending on what you guys think. Obviously, we do have cap space, too, available. Like, how much cap space do we got? I think it was like a couple million, right? Yeah, we still have like $3 million in cap space around. So we should be able to still make a trade if we really want to upgrade our team more so. But at the moment, since we're leading the division, do we need to make any trades? It's a really tough dilemma in that sense. But let's take a look at the trading block anyways, just to see if there's anything that we could potentially bring in next episode. So Brock McGinn as a bottom 6 forward is not bad. Jansen Harkins, Juho Vakainen. Jan Misak doesn't matter too much. Jackson Weeb, I think his name is. Is it Jackson? I feel like it is. Yeah, and it's really weird spelling. I was not remembering it was spelled like that, but shout out to the Weeb. Boston just has some prospects, which we're not really trying to bring in at this stage. Buffalo has Luukkonen on the block. That's kind of surprising that UPL's already on the block by Buffalo. Same with Connor Clifton. He's back on the block again. Mark Del Gaizo, William Legason, and Tyler Tullio. That's fun to say. Dakota Mermis isn't really much of anything. Carolina doesn't have anything. Chicago has Jason Dickinson on the block. That's a pretty good forward, but I don't really know if we need stuff like that. Marcus Pettersson's on the block. He's also pretty good. He was recently signed by Chicago, so that's kind of strange. Arvid Soderblom, Lauren Persois, and TJ Brody. Colorado, some prospects, including Callum Ritchie. All right. Columbus, Provorov's on the block. We don't want Provorov, really. Erica Branson, Matthew Olivier, Sean Corrali, and Tyler Mott. Dallas, redacted. I won't even say his name at this point. He doesn't even need to be in the game. Detroit, Ben Sherratt, Justin Holt. Holt's still on the block. It's funny because he's in the AHL now in real life. Eric Johnson, Jack Campbell, and Cam Talbot. Not the best players so far on the block so far, but there is players that could potentially help us maybe. But I don't really know if it's necessary to bring players like that in. Florida has absolutely nothing. LA has Rittich on the block, but that's it pretty much. Other prospects too. Interesting. Minnesota has Philip Gustafson on the block, the goalie that just recently scored a goal. Shout out to him. And Marc-Andre Fleury at 41 years old. He's signed for 2 years. Jeez. Shout out to the Flower. It would be interesting to have the Flower, but we have already a good two-headed monster in net, so we don't need Fleury. Montreal has Gallagher, Anderson, Jake Evans is still there. Signed for 3 years now. Shillington on the block. And Jack Johnson. Nashville, Brady Shea's on the block, but I don't really like that contract. $7 million for Brady Shea, to me, is a bit too much. Gus Nyquist with 1 year left is pretty good. That's a pretty good player to bring in with 1 year left. He's on 36 points so far. Play right wing and left wing. He would be definitely an upgrade, I would say, and away from Duclair, but he's a different type of player. Duclair's a sniper. He's a playmaker. That's an interesting one. I don't know if I would bring him in. Tommy Novak, also a decent player. Unless as a second line forward. Wow, okay. There's some interesting players in Nashville for sure. Luke Shen and Alexander Carrier. New Jersey, mostly prospects, okay. What about the Rangers? Vincent Trocheck's on the block. I don't even know if he has any interest in our team, but he's really good, obviously. He does have interest in our team, okay. All right. Chris Kreider on the block still has a 15-team no-trade list, and we probably aren't on it. Yeah, we aren't even on it. I don't know, we are on it. I couldn't remember. Riley Smith is there, Sam Carrick, Johnny Brodzinski. Ottawa, Hayden Fleury, Travis Hamonic. We could bring Travis Hamonic back to the Islanders to wrap up his career where he started. That would be kind of interesting as a depth defenseman. But, I mean, we already have Pahal, so it doesn't really make much sense. Philadelphia, Ristolainen, and no thanks. William Borgen, Adam Ginning, Nick Delorier, Garnet Hathaway. Like, if we want to bring in a face puncher, we could, but I don't know. Pittsburgh has nothing. San Jose has nothing. Seattle, Jaden Schwartz, Adam Larson, Vince Dunn. Wow. Wasn't expecting to see Vince Dunn on the block. That's a really good defenseman. He's only got 26 points so far, so he doesn't simulate the best, but I do like Vince Dunn, but he doesn't have any interest in our team at the moment. Jamie Alexiak's not bad. If we did want to upgrade our top six and get a defenseman to replace basically What's his name? The young defenseman on the top 6 pairing. Why am I drawing a blank? The one that's like a plus 10 anyways. We could upgrade our top 6 pairing still, like I was mentioning. We could bring in somebody like Jamie Alexiak, but I don't even know if he would fit good with Scott Mayfield. Brandon Tanev is there. St. Louis has nothing, looks like. Tampa has Jonas Johansson and nothing else. Toronto, prospects as you'd expect. Utah has Daniel Sprong on the block. That's not a bad scoring forward. Dylan Coughlin, Liam O'Brien, Kevin Stenlund, and I think it's Maximilian Zuber or something like that. Yeah, it is. And why is it spelled like that? What the hell? I remember these guys' names, but I do not remember their spelling being so weird. Like, who spells Maximilian like that? Come on, man. That's weird. Vancouver. Prospects on the block, all right. Vegas. Thomas Hurdle's on the block. William Karlsson is still there, but I don't think we need him at this stage. Zach Whitecloud is a top 6 defenseman. Wouldn't be too bad. But once again, I don't know how a DFD would do with Mayfield. Like, he's basically just as good as Mayfield is, but younger. Christian Fisher's not bad. He's like kind of the depth forward. Ivan Barbashev's pretty good. I don't even know if he has any interest in our team, though. He does. All right. Washington. Martin Faravari. Sonny Milano and his crazy hair. Jeez, I don't think I've ever seen his photo in this game. That's a lot of hair on his head. A lot of hair. Like, how do you grow hair like that? Logan Thompson. Tom Wilson's on the block, all right. Don't like that contract, though. And Winnipeg has just some prospects on the block. All right. Final thing I want to take a look at is the draft class again, just to see if there's any update on what it's looking like. Okay, so yeah, it is a franchise player because we weren't sure. Oh, actually, we were kind of sure. The player before Gavin McKenna, there was one projected to go. There's going to be 2 franchise players in this year's draft. So Gavin McKenna, of course. DeAndre Harris is the other one. I kind of wish we were in a spot where we could win the draft lottery just like last year, but at the same time, obviously, we're going for a cup. But DeAndre Harris is going to be a really good sniper in this franchise mode based on that. Aside from that, we do not know too much about this draft class at this stage, so I don't know if our scouts are taking the time off or what, but we definitely still need better scouts because they're not doing the best of jobs so far. Like, I don't think we have any guarantees on any players almost. If I'm not mistaken, is there any guaranteed low leads? Almost one here with Osgood. He's supposed to go like 5th round, though. Or 7th round, I should say. Or maybe even 5th round, actually, for that matter. I don't even know. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we might make some trades, depending on what you guys think we should do. Like, we could always upgrade our top 6 pairing and get really, like, maybe get rid of Bolduc and something like that. But they have been good so far, but it's just more about the chemistry that I'm a little bit worried about. But our team has been great so far in a lot of different areas, so I don't even know if we really need to make any adjustments, but I think this year we definitely are going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter about how long we're going to make it for. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.